have you seen this fun leak from Blake Lively and her team? Let's talk PR moves and why Blake Lively and her team decided to leak this to People magazine, because I have some speculations. If you didn't know, there was a hearing in the career-ending lawsuit that Blake Lively has brought against Justin Baldoni and some of the Wayfarer defendants. Now, in the past, the public has been privy to call in to these hearings, but there was not a call in this time. So the only people that were in the room were Lively's team, Justin's team, and the court. Now, for months now, I've been stalking this docket, so I know that there has been no announcement made from the court yet. There likely will be one by the end of the day, but we have not heard anything. Who leaked it to People magazine? Well, based on the framing, it was 100% Blake Lively and her team, and let me show you why. Because what People chooses to highlight in this story tells me exactly what the PR moves are trying to do. First off, this article goes through actual gymnastics to try and really point out the fact that it was the judge's fault for the delay. They even go as far to say that Judge Lewis Lyman made the announcement during a post-discovery hearing held Tuesday, explaining that he has 2 criminal trials, and as important as this case is, criminal trials take precedence. But criminal trials always take precedence, and I don't know if he actually emphasized that or said that out loud, but they're quoting it as he did. They are going out of their way to try and frame this as, don't blame Blake Lively. This isn't her fault. This is the judge's fault. He has a criminal case. Blake's case isn't weak, there's not going to be a settlement between these two. Everything is going to go as planned. This is purely procedural from the judge's end. That's exactly what Blake and her team would want out. And I'll say that even though this is a scheduling update, they do manage to slip in other related stories saying this isn't a story of minor annoyances. Remember when Blake was pregnant and Justin Baldoni talked about circumcision to her? Don't forget that happened. Not only that, they slip in there that, Justin Baldoni's case against Blake Lively for extortion and defamation was dismissed by the judge. And out of everything they could have sourced to quote, they chose to source Blake Lively's Instagram post where she said she felt more resolved than ever to continue to stand for every woman's right to have a voice in protecting themselves, including their safety, their integrity, their dignity, and their story. So all of this is selective in order to realign back to Blake Lively's allegations. This is all reinforcing Blake Lively's talking points. They didn't have to mention that quote or literally any of this. Now, I'm not a PR professional, I'm not a lawyer, but I have been following this case from the beginning, and the PR is such a huge part of it that I had to sit down and ask myself, okay, why did Blake Lively and her team leak this to People magazine? I know that they have Ben Van Hoos. Leslie's probably got him on speed dial, babe, I need you to post another article for us. But I have some speculations as to the why. And that is that I think Blake Lively and her team are trying to control the public narrative ahead of the judge ruling on summary judgment. So I think that the generalized public probably doesn't understand just how weak Blake Lively's claims for SH truly are. So a delay in the trial not only buys Blake Lively a little bit more time, but because they were the ones to leak it to the public, they're able to control the narrative and try and flip it as neutral or as positive. So they've been doing those spins trying to go, okay, it's not her fault. Her claims are very much alive. They're so strong. It's the judge. It was the judge's fault. It's just procedural. And because they have this framing and they put it out there first, they can try and soften the blow for if the judge decides to rule on summary judgment and a lot of her claims end up getting thrown out. That can kind of make things hurt a little bit less because the leak keeps the momentum on her side, not on his. And from my understanding, and I guess I've not followed a ton of legal cases, but especially in Depp v. Heard, if there was any sort of delay, it always looks bad for the plaintiff, which is Blake Lively, and they're trying to squash that all together. They're trying to continue to portray her as this confident person marching for. Hold on. This is the quote right here. They're trying to continue to portray her as, look, she's so confident. She's going to continue to stand up for everybody and their integrity and their dignity and their story, and she is marching forward. The delay is not her fault. So not only that, but they went ahead and went to People, right, with this Ben Van Hoos who has done nothing but promote and have positive headlines or at least neutral headlines towards Blake Lively and her side. And so they knew at the very minimum, announcing this news and leaking it first, they could get this headline out there, which whether they're positive or more neutral, that's okay. Because at least it's clean. And that's a clean headline opportunity for her to push all of that other negative shit down. Because look at what happens. As soon as one article is published from People magazine, everybody else starts posting about it and citing People as the source for the news. It's like a domino effect. And so all these headlines, boom, 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 pop up.